The private dining hall on the Centralismo floor overlooked the glowing skyline of New York City. Through the tall glass windows, the Hudson River reflected streaks of orange and violet as the sun dipped behind the skyscrapers. Inside, the air carried the soft scent of truffle oil and polished wood. Crystal chandeliers shimmered above a long mahogany table where America's financial elite gathered for their monthly executive dinner. At the center sat Daniel Whitmore, tech investor, hedge fund legend, and the youngest billionaire on the East Coast to cross the $10 billion mark. His tailored navy suit fit him like precision. His watch cost more than most homes. His laughter, confident, almost theatrical, filled the room easily. Tonight, he was celebrating. Earlier that afternoon, Whitmore Capital finalized a $300 million acquisition of a fast-growing AI startup. The deal had been trending across financial media all day. Executives toasted to his boldness. Daniel, one board member said, lifting his glass, "You have instincts no algorithm can replicate." Daniel smirked modestly. "Instincts," he said smoothly, "and timing." Across the room, moving with calm precision, was Emily Carter. She balanced a silver tray effortlessly, placing plates in front of guests without disturbing their animated discussions about IPOs and venture multipliers. Her posture was upright, her steps measured. If someone watched closely, they would notice something unusual. She never rushed. Even in a room of impatient millionaires, she moved with quiet control. That was her first habit. Slow hands, clear mind. She had trained herself that way. Back in her small apartment in Cleveland, when bills stacked up and anxiety threatened to consume her, she learned something powerful: panic makes mistakes expensive. So she practiced calm, daily. Every morning, before work, she spent 15 minutes reading something about finance. Every night, she reviewed one investment concept before sleeping. She had been doing it for 4 years without missing a single day. No one at the table knew that. To them, she was just the waitress. As dessert arrived, chocolate soufflé with gold leaf garnish, Daniel leaned back in his chair, visibly relaxed. The room buzzed with admiration for his recent success. Emily approached his side to refill his sparkling water. That was when Daniel decided to entertain himself. He glanced up at her name tag. "Emily," he said casually, loud enough for nearby executives to hear, "let me ask you something." She paused, attentive. "Yes, sir." He tilted his head playfully. "If you had $1 billion to invest right now, where would you put it?" The table erupted in amused chuckles. One executive whispered, "Careful, Daniel. She might outperform US." Another added jokingly, "Maybe we should all start taking notes." Daniel smiled, expecting either nervous laughter or an awkward answer. But Emily didn't laugh. She didn't flinch. She didn't rush to speak. Instead, she placed the bottle gently on the table. And waited. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. 5. Silence began to stretch across the table. Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Well." She met his gaze, not challengingly, not submissively, just steadily. "Sir," she said softly, "I wouldn't invest it anywhere." The laughter stopped immediately. The shift in the room was almost physical. Daniel's smile froze halfway. "Oh," he replied, leaning forward slightly. "And why not?" Emily clasped her hands lightly in front of her apron. "Because if someone with $1 billion is asking that question out loud," she said carefully, "it usually means they're uncertain. And uncertainty mixed with excitement creates impulsive risk." A fork clinked against a plate. No one was smiling anymore. Daniel studied her expression, expecting hesitation. There was none. She continued. "Large capital magnifies small emotional errors. The bigger the money, the smaller the ego must be." One of the younger investors shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Daniel's voice dropped lower. "You're suggesting I invest emotionally." "I'm suggesting," she replied calmly, "that excitement is not the same as clarity." The room had gone completely silent. Emily spoke neither too fast nor too slow. "Markets reward patience more than brilliance. If an opportunity feels urgent or thrilling, it often benefits the seller more than the buyer." Daniel blinked. He had just closed 3 aggressive acquisitions this quarter, each fueled by competition and speed. She wasn't attacking him. She was diagnosing behavior. "How would you know that?" he asked quietly. She answered without pride. "I read investor letters, case studies, failures more than successes. Most billionaires don't collapse because of ignorance. They collapse because of overconfidence." A senior partner cleared his throat. Daniel leaned back slowly. "Interesting theory." "It's not a theory," she said gently. "It's a pattern." The confidence in her voice wasn't loud. It was disciplined. Daniel felt something unfamiliar. Reflection. He asked another question, now more serious. So what would you do? Emily replied immediately this time. I would wait until the opportunity feels boring. The room looked confused. Boring, Danielle repeated. Yes, she said. If the numbers make sense even when the excitement fades, then it's strategy. If they only look good while adrenaline is high, it's ego. The sentence lingered in the air like smoke. Danielle stared at her. For the first time in years, he had no clever comeback. No witty dismissal. He wasn't offended. He was thinking. Emily gave a small nod. Would you like anything else, sir? It was a simple question. But something had changed. Daniel slowly shook his head. No, he said quietly. That will be all. As she walked away, several executives whispered among themselves. Who is she? Did she just critique Daniel's investment strategy? She's bold. Daniel, however, wasn't listening to them. He stared at the reflection of the city lights in his glass. Don't invest until it feels boring. The words replayed. He thought about the AI acquisition. The rush. The applause. The media headlines. Had he been investing or performing? Across the room, Emily resumed serving another table as if nothing unusual had happened. Because to her, it hadn't. She had simply answered honestly. It was just another moment guided by her habit. Think first, speak second, stay calm always. The dinner resumed, but the atmosphere had subtly shifted. For everyone else, it was an entertaining exchange. For Daniel Whitmore, it was the first time in a long while that someone without power, without money, without status, had made him question himself. And that night, as the skyline of New York City glittered outside, the most powerful man in the room realized something unsettling. The most disciplined mind at the table was not wearing a suit. Emily, there's someone here to see you. She looked up calmly. In the doorway stood Daniel Whitmore. Not in a tuxedo, not surrounded by executives, just him. The entire restaurant froze. Daniel stepped forward, scanning the room until his eyes found hers. I hope I'm not interrupting your shift, he said. Emily set the silverware down carefully. Not at all, sir. But inside, her heart was racing, not from fear, from possibility. The offer. Later that afternoon, Emily sat across from Daniel in his glass-walled office overlooking Central Park. The headquarters of Whitmore Capital felt like another world, marble floors, quiet assistants, screens flashing global market data. Daniel leaned forward. I haven't stopped thinking about what you said, he admitted. I reviewed our last 5 major investments. He paused. 3 were made under competitive pressure. Emily remained silent. Herbert, listen more than you speak. Daniel continued, you were right. I've been chasing momentum. He walked toward the window. You know what disturbed me most? He said quietly, not that you challenged me, but that you did it without trying to impress me. He turned around. That's discipline. He slid a folder across the table. Inside was an offer letter. Junior investment analyst. Full tuition sponsorship to finish her finance degree. A salary that was 5 times what she earned waitressing. Emily's fingers trembled slightly, but her voice did not. Why me? Daniel's answer came instantly. Because habits build empire, and you have better habits than most executives I know. The first big test. 3 months later, Emily's desk overlooked the trading floor. Screens flickered with red and green numbers. Phones rang constantly. Energy pulsed through the building. Then it happened. A new tech startup, an advanced robotics company, went viral overnight. Social media buzzed. Investors panicked to get in early. Competitors were already buying shares aggressively. Daniel burst into the conference room. This is the next big thing, he declared. If we move fast, we dominate. The room agreed. Except Emily. She felt the same electricity everyone else felt. Excitement, urgency, opportunity. But habits don't disappear under pressure. They activate. She opened her notebook and quietly wrote one word. Boring. She raised her hand. Sir, may I suggest we apply the 24-hour rule? The room fell silent. It was a policy she had introduced during her first week. No major investment decision without a 24-hour cooling period. Daniel looked at her. This window might close. Emily nodded respectfully. Then it's not a window. The statement hit hard. Some executives shifted uncomfortably. Daniel studied her face. No arrogance, no fear, just calm conviction. Why hesitate? He asked. She replied steadily. Because everyone is excited. And when everyone is excited, the price already reflects emotion. Let's review fundamentals when the noise settles. Daniel exhaled slowly. Every instinct in him screamed to act. But another voice, quieter, stronger, reminded him of that night at dinner. Don't invest until it feels boring. He nodded. 24 घंटे. The shock. The next morning, headlines exploded. Regulatory concerns, questionable patent claims, hidden debt. The robotics company's stock crashed 48% before noon. Whitmore Capital had invested nothing. The conference room filled with stunned silence. One executive whispered, "We would have lost hundreds of millions." Daniel looked at Emily, not with surprise, with respect. "You saved us," he said plainly. She shook her head. "No, sir, the habit saved us." A new direction. That evening, Daniel stood before his leadership team. "For years," he began, "I believed speed was power." He paused. "Discipline is power." He officially implemented Emily's 24-hour rule across all divisions. Over the next 2 years, Whitmore Capital became known not for bold risks but for calculated patience. Financial magazines praised Daniel's evolved leadership. But privately, he would often tell young investors, "I once asked a waitress for advice as a joke. She answered seriously." That seriousness built our future. The full circle moment. 3 years later, at the same executive dining hall in New York City, a celebration dinner was held. But this time, Emily wasn't carrying trays. She was seated at the table, Vice President of Strategic Investments. Daniel raised a glass. "To the person who taught us that wealth grows from habits, not headlines." The room applauded. Emily smiled, but her routine hadn't changed. She still studied 1 hour every morning. Still reflected before decisions. Still asked herself one question before every major move.